All right, I just got to the shop. It's a kind of a cloudy day. I let the clamps and the glue sit up overnight, so I'm gonna remove the clamps. Okay. So here's what we got so far. So it's covering the whole circle. So now I'm going to add my edge banding. Then I'm going to use a flush trim bit to make this round. I might actually cut it on my bandsaw to get it close so I don't have to take off too much material at once. It'll just make it easier when I'm flush trimming it. But when I get finished, the top of this circle will be white oak instead of birch. Okay, so yesterday I cut some strips that were 1/8 of an inch thick to edge band the edge. I don't know if you can see this. Let me get it where you can see it. To edge band around the circumference of my circle. It's a little bit tough to bend, and I just want to make sure it doesn't come undone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 2 more that are slightly thinner, so it'll be easier to bend, and it'll still have the same effect. And also, after I cut this, I realized I was just cutting off of an existing board, and it's a little bit short, so I need about 10 more inches. So this one that I have on my table saw right now, it ought to be plenty enough. I'm gonna wrap this, and I'm also gonna wrap the bottom, which leads me to wonder if this is thick enough to do the bottom. Let me see. Okay, so I should probably explain something. When you're buying lumber from a lumber store, this is how you buy it. Hang on one second. So usually if you get something that's 3/4 of an inch thick, they call it 4/4, which means it's really supposed to be 1 inch. So if you order 5/4 material, that means it's 1 1/4 inches. If you order 6/4 material, it's 1.5 inches. If you order 8/4 material, it's 2 inches thick. Oftentimes when you buy, like say 6/4, it's not really 1.5 inches, because then they usually send it off to be processed where they plane it, or they at least skip plane it, which means that it's plain, but you still might see some rough areas like this, where the tree was round, and when they cut this, this is still rough. This has been planed down. So I still have to plane this down even further. But right now what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to get 2 thin little strips out of this so I can wrap around the top and the bottom, so that when you look at the piece or the end table, all you see is white oak. So the whole thing is real wood, but it's not all real oak wood. You wouldn't want to make the whole top out of oak like this. I mean, you could, but it'd be, well, first of all, more expensive. And also plywood is more stable because the layers go in opposite directions between each layer, and then they glue it together. So plywood's always going to be much more stable. Plywood doesn't expand and contract at the same rate that lumber does, but it's supposed to be white oak. So everything's going to appear to be white oak, just like most furniture you buy. Usually things are wrapped with a veneer, or if you're ordering it offline, a lot of times it's just a sticker. It's not even wood. So of course we're going to do real wood because that's what we do. But Anyway, that's what I'm up to right now. So I'm gonna cut me some thin strips of this, and then I'm gonna have to cut it again this way because I really only need them about 3/4 of an inch thick. Actually, one piece 5/8 and one piece 3/4 because I use 2 different dimensions of lumber to cut out my circles, which is no big deal. But anyway, so that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna go ahead and cut my strips as thin as I can get them, and then I'm gonna wrap them around the circles. And that might be all I get done today. Let's see, remote control, here we go. This is for my dust collection system. My table saw has its own dust collection system because I cut a lot of plywood on it, and plywood, the glues in it aren't good for animals. My planer and my shapers and everything have separate dust collection systems because I can sell the shavings. People use it for bedding, for rabbits, horses, different kinds of animals. So I only get like $5 or $10 a bag, but $5 or $10 is $5 or $10. So anyway, let me go ahead and raise my blade so I can get all the way through this 6/4 material. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut it as thin as I can get it. Nice. Okay, so that worked out well. So I'm gonna cut one more like this. Okay, now what I'm doing is figuring out the length to cut this so that I can wrap all the way around it. Probably didn't need to say this, but what I did is, since this piece is 3/4 and the other piece is 5/8, is I went ahead and ripped this on my table saw to 13/16. That's a 16th bigger than 3/4. And for the one that's 5/8, I ripped it at 11/16. So I don't mind if a little bit is hanging down. I can sand that off. You can always take wood away, but you can't stretch wood. So the joke about the board stretcher and all that stuff. Yeah, if you cut something too sharp, you're done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap it around and I'm gonna mark it with my pencil and I'm gonna get it as tight as I can so that when I cut it on my miter saw or my chop saw, I'm cutting it at the right place so that it doesn't overlap and it doesn't leave a gap. So I'm gonna hold this in and I'm gonna stretch this in as much as I can. And that ought to be the spot right there. So I'm just marking it. And then when I walk to my miter saw, I'm gonna be very, very careful to cut this stuff super slow, because if you don't, it's so thin, it can just like crack and splinter up, and then gotta go back to the table saw and rip another little piece that's a 16th of an inch. So I guess I'll turn the camera towards my miter saw and show you, but I'm gonna really be taking my time because I don't wanna risk messing up this piece after I got it this far. So let's see if you can see my miter saw from here. There's my miter saw. And here's me going slow. bunch of glue on here, a bunch of glue on the edges of my circles. And I'm gonna use my pin nailer. I'm gonna pin nail them in place. And that might be all I do on this today. I don't know, we'll see. Pen nailer. I want this glue everywhere, so I'm going to use a scrap of wood to spread it to make sure it's evenly covered before I start pin nailing it around this. So let me find a scrap of wood. That's too big. I wish I could listen to music while I was doing this, but everything is so copyright or lawsuit happy or whatever. Everybody wants to get money. That if I listen to music, they won't post my videos sometimes. So it's just easier to turn it off while I'm filming. Sometimes I film a video and then I realize music was playing in the background. And I gotta start all over. It's not like it's super hard work anyway, so I don't mind. But anyway, so you can see I've spread the glue evenly around this whole thing. Clean up my mess. Now I'm also gonna spread glue around my circle because I wanna make sure that this thing doesn't ever come undone, ever, 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 ever. So I'm gonna do as much of it as I can like this before I run over the glue on the other side. I'll spread this. So now I gotta do like this. The last little bit. Okay, gotta spread all this around. Start the drip onto my table, which is no big deal. It's just a work table, but okay, I'm satisfied. Pen nailer. Okay, admittedly, I'm running into a little problem. I think the pins are just shooting straight through, so it's not holding. So, now it seems to be working. It's just this end, but I can hit that with a clamp. No. Okay. That's not working. I'm gonna have to use a brad nailer, which I didn't want to do because pins you can't really see them, but brads you're gonna be able to see the head of them. But at this point, I don't know what else to do. So that's woodworking. Sometimes things don't go as planned. You gotta figure out how to make it work. Okay, what you guys didn't see is I attempted to put the first one on. I thought it was filming, but it wasn't, which is great because it didn't work anyway. I was trying to use my pin nailer. Pins are maybe the thickness of a sewing needle. They're very, 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 very small. But they shot through, and the wood doesn't want to be round. It wants to be straight, so it didn't hold. So I was switching to my brad nailer, which is a little unfortunate because pins are so small, I usually don't even putty them. In this case, I probably will because it's a piece of furniture, but this brads are a little bit thicker, so it's gonna leave a hole and I'm gonna have to putty it, which again, is not the biggest deal in the world, but that's how woodworking goes, you know, sometimes things don't work as planned and you just gotta figure out a different way, and that's what I'm doing. So now I got my brad nailer hooked. Here's my pin nailer, and we'll try again. And hopefully it holds it this time. So I'm gonna start on the end, shoot a brad. By the way, I'm shooting 5/8" brads. And they are going straight through too. I've got problems. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I may have to just cut a circle around this and put it in clamps. I was hoping that this would work. No big deal. I'm not gonna get frustrated. It's just a thing. Let me try something else. Oh, I'm getting glue all over the place. No big deal, no big deal, no big deal. I've got an idea. May or may not work. Get a pipe clamp. Fingers crossed, this might work. And if it doesn't, it's okay. Stay positive. Okay, I think it's gonna work. I'm gonna go ahead and put a few more clamps on it just because it's bowing away from my wood in a few places. Not bad. Let me get this out of my way. Flip it. Not too shabby. Pretty good. Let's see, parallel clamp. Okay, so even with all them clamps, it's just not working. I've got it pretty tight almost everywhere, but then every once in a while you have this, that's not gonna fly, or you have that, which is even worse. I tried shooting a couple of brads in it to hold it, but man, this is woodworking. Like, sometimes it's so frustrating. That's what makes it fun, I guess. So I think what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut some more strips of this, and I'm gonna make them even thinner. And I'm gonna hope that the pins hold them, because this is just not ideal. Not the ideal situation. I'm frustrated, and I got all this wood to mill up, but it ain't happening today. Okay, so I pulled my piece off, and now I've got to make sure that I peel all the brads off or tap them in. Okay. Back to ripping more material. Okay, now I have two pieces that are maybe 3 times the thickness of a sheet of paper. They're very thin, so let's try this. One thing about woodworking, if you don't have patience, don't get into woodworking. If you don't like problem solving, don't get into woodworking. If you like challenges, get into woodworking. All right, I gotta mill this up. So same thing, I'm gonna cut one of them to 13/16, one of them to 11/16, and then I'm gonna try again before I leave for the day. So believe it or not, those two pieces that I just cut are so thin that I'm gonna try cutting them with just a regular pair of scissors, because I know if I cut them on my miter saw, it's gonna split the end, and I don't wanna have to keep doing this over and over again. So I'm gonna see if it'll cut through, and I'll let you join along. Oh yeah. So I gotta get a straighter cut than that, but anyway, so I'm using a regular pair of scissors to cut this wood. It's so thin. I hope this works. Okay, let's try again. I sure hope this works. Oh, I'm not gonna make you watch me spraying glue all over that again. Nobody wants to see that. Okay, I told you if you're a woodworker, you gotta be able to problem solve. So I'm ditching the guns completely. I'm gonna try to use painter's tape. I'm gonna paint both of them on. I'm going home for the night. And tomorrow morning when I get here, they better be right. Let's try it. So, where's my painter's tape? I want a big roll. Let's see. I should have a big roll of painter's tape somewhere around here in my cabinet shop. Ta-da! I found my big roll of painter's tape. So we're gonna give this a shot. Why not? And clear out everything out of my way so I can work. At this point, I'm not concerned at all with the glue squeeze out. First of all, this is going to be the very bottom. You're not even going to really see it. But I will, of course, clean up the sand. I'll sand everything once I'm finished. But let me start off with this edge. And I'll work my way around. I think this might work. I'll find out in a minute. Okay. Scissors. So I left this one a little long so that when I get back to this point, I can cut it with my scissors and get it right where I want it. Okay, I think this is gonna work. I'm either a genius or a madman. I guess I'm a madman because I sure as hell ain't a genius. All right. Scissors. this is gonna work. I'm excited. Okay. I'm gonna tape off like a 16th with a pair of scissors. This is crazy. Well, painter's tape. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and I'm going to look for any spots where it might not be touching, and I'll put painter's tape, but it looks like it's pretty much touching everywhere. So I'll go ahead and use painter's tape anyway to assure that it stays touching. So tomorrow when I get here, this part is done. I might actually go around the whole thing. I mean, tape's cheap. I sure don't want to have to do all this again. Yep. I'm sure you guys don't want to watch me do this for 10 minutes or whatever, so I'll put it on time lapse, or better yet, I just won't film this part at all. Okay, so the first one's done. As you can see, I damn near wrapped every inch all the way around the circumference. But I did that to pull it tight. And I'm sure tomorrow when I pull the tape off, everything's gonna be fine. I don't know if people know this, but wood glue is usually stronger than wood, meaning if you put two boards together and you use glue and you clamp them properly, you can take a hammer and beat it and it'll pretty much split the wood anywhere except for where the wood joint is. In most cases, I mean, I'm not saying that empirically, that's the truth, but for the most part, it's true. Wood glue is really strong. But I'm looking at this and there's a few places where I wish it was mating with it a little better, so I'm gonna put even a few more pieces of tape, then I'll do the other one and then I'm done for the day. Problem solving, eh? Okay, so I can't tape this one because I have all this white oak to cut off. So what I was planning on doing tomorrow, I guess I'm doing today. So I gotta cut this out first, and then I gotta put this piece around here, which means that I'm gonna have to cut another piece because now I have to be this 5/8 plus the thickness of this. So I guess I'm not going home just yet. Okay, my compressor's running a little loud, so I have to talk louder, but I'm just showing you how I cut this off. What I did is I left it a little big all the way around. Now I can go to my sander and I can sand it down to the round part. Then it'll be even and flush and all that other good stuff. Okay, now that I got it this close, I'm gonna go ahead and finish it off with this, which is called a flush trim bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in my router, and the bearing is gonna roll on this part that's already perfectly round, and anything underneath it is gonna take the same shape as that because this is perfectly lined up with the edge. So anything the bearing rolls on, it's gonna cut the top too. So since this is perfectly smooth, the bearing needs to be on top of this particular one. If I had it the other way around, if the bearing was on the bottom, I'd just have to flip this and use it that way. I have one like that too, but this one will suffice. Okay, so this is how you change the router bit blades. Flip this on this particular model. You pinch these two little wings. This slides out. You always put it where your bit is facing to your right hand side. There's a lock button for the spindle right here. So I'm gonna push that. I'm gonna Take this, loosen it. Sometimes you gotta tap on it to release the collar, collet, or whatever it's called. Put my one that I'm gonna be using in. Tighten this. You don't have to worry about placement of it because the other part that slides on, this thing can move up and down. So I usually just seat them all the way in there to make sure they don't break while I'm doing this. And put this on. Need to make sure that it's rolling on the bearing and nothing else. So that looks right, about right there. Now I'll go ahead and trim this where you can see. It's gonna make a bunch of mess, but it's okay, I can clean it tomorrow. Oh, the important thing about a router too is you always want to go the right way. If you go the wrong way, that thing is going to take off towards you. So when you're using it, it depends on if you're on the inside of something or you're on the outside of something. But there's only one direction you go. So if you're not sure, put it on your piece and go forward. And if there's resistance, that's the way you want to be going. If it feels like it wants to fly towards you, stop, because it could be dangerous. Chip out a little, so I'm probably gonna have to fix something, but let me take a look at it. Okay, here's the chip. I don't think it's so bad. It's really not bad at all. Look, let me show you on the camera. So it did chip out a little bit right there, if you can see it. But by the time I put the edge banding on it, and I think I can put some white oak wood filler in there, I think I can hide it. If not, I'm gonna have to put a little piece, glue it in there, and then redo everything that I just did. But I think it's gonna be okay. For right now, I'm just worried about getting the edge banding on so I can go home. I wanna go home. Okay, so that's what I got done so far. So the other side of this is the white oak. So tomorrow I'll pull all that tape off. The glue should be plenty dry. Oh, and I should have noted that where it chipped out a little bit, once I put the edge banding on it, it pretty much disappeared. So if there's anything at all, I can probably put wood filler in it. But I don't really think you'll even see it. I don't know, I guess I'll find out tomorrow. I'm going home. Seems like a lot of work just for these. If anyone ever asks you to build a table like that for the amount they sell it for online, tell them not no, but hell no. It's way too much work. It's a good thing my friend Logan is a cool dude, because yeah. No comment. Gotta close up.